The wheeling in Lake Erie brings a train into Carrollton, Ohio a few times per week, under the cover of darkness. Most of the train consists of stone for Griffith & Son Trucking. The company, which is an industrial equipment and materials hauler, expanded and relocated its Carrollton operations in 2020, which brought a much-needed increase for rail service into Carroll County, including a new rail spur for the handling and unloading of stone, and also to serve another company, Narration, which makes plastic bags. The facility was built at the site of the former Heritage Plastics Company, which closed in late 2016, and at the time put serious doubts for the need to maintain rail service into Carrollton. To help with the investment expenses, Griffith & Son Trucking received grants of $200,000 from Jobs Ohio, $100,000 from the Ohio Rail Development Commission, and $50,000 from the Carroll County Community Improvement Corporation. The entire project ended up being about a $3.5 million investment, including funds for the rail spur, in which Griffith put in approximately $1.2 million. There were only several cars left to be unloaded at the time we arrived, but we still had time to get some lunch and film these scenes of a few cars going through the extremely noisy procedure of being unloaded. Once the hatches were opened and gravity did the work of releasing the load, a vibrating device grabs the car and frees every last stone into the conveyor system. As the last few cars were being unloaded, he waited nervously, hoping that engine 110 would not end up being the leader, as it would have been long hood forward. To our relief, the 108, which was set aside with 3 covered hoppers before the unloading took place, and had the cab facing forward, would be the leader. Not as good as if one of the Tiger Stripes could be leading, but still better. It didn't take long for the crew to put the covered hoppers and the empty stone hoppers together, set up the power, and do a brake test. As this process was near completion, a track warrant was being issued for the train, symboled 701, to run to Canton via the scenic, bucolic 27-mile Carrollton branch. Power for today's train consists of 4 GP35-3s, all which ride on Elko trucks, and all tracing their heritage to the Southern Railway. The first 2 are high hoods, with the second 2 having their noses chopped at Wheeling's Brewster, Ohio shops. This line has a speed restriction of 10 miles per hour, so it's an easy chase. The only thing we needed to concern ourselves with was allowing enough time for a walk to the north portal of the tunnel at Robertsville. The short tunnel at Robertsville is scarred from damage that happened in October of 2006, when Ohio, a company that was leasing the line, was hauling a train that included 2 unmanned cabooses for an unnamed customer. The cupola of one of the cabooses did not clear a portion of the tunnel, which may or may not have already been partially collapsed. The result was both cabooses becoming stuck, with debris falling around them. A year would pass before they were freed, which involved stabilizing the tunnel beforehand. As a result of the line being blocked at the tunnel, 3 rail shippers, Fusion Ceramics, Heritage Plastics, and Noramco, were all forced to seek alternatives. Ultimately, a detour agreement allowed the customers to continue to receive service from Ohio through Norfolk Southern. Once the cabooses had been removed, the W&LE Erie requested up to a $150,000 grant to cover the gap funds needed to repair the Robertsville tunnel. The W&LE invested approximately $15,000 in engineering costs for the tunnel repairs. Meanwhile, Ohio spent $25,000 on detour costs, fencing, and related items. The funding agreement was contingent on the W&LE ensuring continued operations on the Carrollton branch, so long as traffic levels equaled or exceeded current levels, which in 2006 were under 150 carloads annually. If these terms could not be met, a portion of the grants would be reimbursed. When the line was reopened for service to Carrollton, the W&LE Erie resumed running the trains, as Ohio no longer wanted to perform operations under the lease and requested to terminate it. The stone business in Carrollton is an example of how the W&LE Erie puts in the extra effort to encourage new businesses to locate along its rail lines. The Carrollton branch's future appears strong, and the line may even receive upgrades over time. Currently, this line is 90-pound jointed rail. However, improvements and repairs to the tunnel would be the first order of business. Currently, 2 crews are used to operate the as-needed train, with the time needed to unload the train being split between them.